Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. You're watching it. So a bunch of interesting things just happened today. Today is Tuesday, December 22nd. So the stimulus bill passed yesterday where we all get a whopping $600, which is just fantastic. Just fantastic. And then Trump today, well, first of all, he pardons a bunch of horrible people. Not Julian Assange, which is what he should be doing. He should be pardoning Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. So he pardons all these horrible war criminal people. But then, and I don't know if this is just to stick it to the Democrats or this is another distraction. You know, when he does some big thing that everybody goes, what is Trump doing now? There's always something he does behind the scenes. So he pardons all these awful people. And before that can catch the news cycle, Trump says this about the stimulus plan.
Throughout the summer, Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda and influence.
Stop. Trump, it's not left-wing. It's corporate. It's not left-wing. It's not left-wing. You don't even know what that means. So just stop. Stop. It's a Republican agenda. Just stop. Left-wing would be Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness, cutting the, military budget in half, $15 an hour minimum wage. That's a left-wing agenda. Sorry. Anyway.
Election. Then a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment. $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan. $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for
He left out Israel, $500 million to Israel. I'm sure it was an oversight.
Business. $1 billion for the Smithsonian and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each. This is far more than the Americans are given.
That's not true. So a lot of what he's saying is true. There's all these money for all these extra things that shouldn't be in a COVID. Why are we paying all these countries? And I'm going to get into that in a second, but I just want to address that one right there. That's not true. What the bill says, and again, I'm not defending this bill. It's awful. It's an awful bill. And this is when Trump is like, wow, he's kind of right. But then, of course, he says something that's bullshit. So this is just to appease his, I don't know if this is like to help with the Georgia runoff election. This is what happens if the Democrats take over the Senate. If it's that thing, they're just giving illegal Mexicans free money. Like he's trying to play that xenophobic racist card. But this is how it is. If there's a married couple and one person is undocumented and one person is an American citizen, the American citizen spouse gets the money and their children then get the money just like anybody else would. So he's trying to say, oh, they're giving illegal aliens money. So that's not true. But all this money to all these other countries, and I'm going to show you in a second, is true. It's COVID relief. It should be just helping Americans who have lost their jobs and their businesses and can't feed their families because of the pandemic. That's all the bill should be. It's 5,500 pages with all this bullshit, all this money for CARP and shit. He's right.
Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in particular restaurants, whose owners have suffered so grievously. They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years. This 2-year period must be withdrawn, which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition. Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault. I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase.
Okay, one more bit. We're blaming coronavirus on China. He makes all these good points, and then he says something really stupid.
Ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be me, and we will get it done. Thank you very much.
So he still thinks he's going to be president. Great. But yeah, there's some crazy bullshit Trumpy stuff in there for sure. But to be also true, he's
the biggest story.
He's out-lefting the Democrats. He just out-lefted at $2,000. He's out-lefting the Democrats. Now, Mitch McConnell's part of this problem as well. Like the Republicans in Congress also did this. It shows you how awful these systems is. And but I mean, this is Trump just saying, I'm the man of the people and I should still be your president. There's a lot of his crazy narcissism in there, obviously, but he's not wrong about some of it, about a lot of it, actually. But this is what's really going on too. And the bullshit of the stimulus bill, and I've talked about it and will continue to talk about it, especially if he doesn't sign it and we all get $2,000 instead. That would be kind of great. If they can take all this money out now that we're all being aware, I'm glad. This is the thing I'll give him credit for. One of the things Trump has done in his 4 years is call out the crazy bullshit. Now he's a narcissist and he's incompetent and he's done a bunch of dumb mistakes, but he does say, look how corrupt this is. You're not supposed to say that. Of course, he's blaming it all on the Democrats. The problem is Trump, Biden, the Democrats, the Republicans, all of them. He's part of the problem, but he is calling some of this shit out. I'll give him credit for that. But this is what really was going on. Trump pardons former campaign aide, 3 former GOP lawyers. From the Mueller investigation, Trump pardoned former campaign aide George Papadopoulos, who was convicted of lying to the FBI, and Alex Vanderswan, a lawyer who also was convicted of making false statements during the Russia probe. Kyle Griffin pointed this out. Ranking Trump has pardoned 4 former U.S. service members who were convicted of killing Iraqi civilians while working as Blackwater contractors in 2007. You know who he didn't pardon that he should have? Julian Assange. This is the insanity and hypocrisy of our corrupt 2-party empire. There's a bunch of, it's a kleptocracy run by oligarchs, and these 2 parties are just puppets. They're just, it's professional wrestling. They're puppets. It's just puppets. It's a puppet show. The Democrats, it's Punch and Judy. Oh, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. Meow, 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 meow. The stimulus bill's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Like, while billionaires get everything. So he should be pardoned, obviously. So pressure Trump to, because I don't know that he will, but I know he wants to stick it to the Democrats so much that he might do this. I would love it if he did. I don't care what his motives are. I don't give a shit. I don't like Trump. I'm glad he's gone, but I'm glad he's calling this out, and I hope he pardons Julian Assange. So that's the thing to keep pressuring him for. But let's go back to all the countries that are getting the money. This is all true. Kennedy Center, $26 million. Smithsonian, $1 billion. National Art Gallery. Is this for their staff because they've been closed? Wait a minute now. I mean, if they can say, oh, this is for our staff, but the Smithsonian has $1 billion in salary. I mean, if you're telling me, hey, we've been closed, we haven't had the ticket revenue and the tax revenue, maybe, but this still seems like a lot of money for them. And you could debate those. Okay, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe some of it, maybe blah, blah, blah. Here's what should not be anywhere in a bill for the American people. You could make a claim this is somehow tied to COVID. Okay, this, Egypt needs 1.3 billion, Sudan 700 million, Ukraine 453 million, Israel 500 million, Nepal 130 million, Burma, Cambodia, Pakistan. This is for Tokyo. How much is this? 2 billion, 3 billion. Looks like $3.5 billion right here. But you're getting $600. You're getting $600. What this is really, I mean, let's be clear. Yes, I think we need a better stimulus plan. Yes, we need $2,000 per adult. You're married, you get $4,000. We need this money should be given to people to just pay down their rent. Not because this all this current stimulus bill does is push the moratorium on evictions a month down the road. That's it. So now you can get evicted February 1st instead of January 1st. But all your back rent, you're still going to have to come up with that. That's the other thing. Even if the economy, the vaccine works and the economy opens up and everyone's working again, you're still going to have 6 to 9 months of back rent saddled on your back. When are you going to pay that back? So let's say your rent in a big city like LA, New York, rent's $2,000 a month. Now you got back rent you got to pay. So now you're paying $2,500 a month after not working for a year. Come on. But what is this really about? What is this really about? It's about the war machine. I mean, I showed you this. This is from what was going on in Armenia, but this is just an example, right? So Israel is one of the countries we give to. They backed Azerbaijan that was bombing Armenia, like, right? I showed you all this. So this just fuels the whole war machine going on. So when you got all these countries in here, why are we taking care of these? I mean, if the American people were taken care, everyone was squared away. Everyone's rent was paid off, just forgiven, paid off. Their mortgages was forgiven. Everybody was getting what they've done in other countries, 80% of their salary, $3,000-$4,000 a month in UBI if you're self-employed, free health care, student debt forgiveness, and no food lines. Everyone was taken care of. And then you said, hey, we should try to help out some other countries that are struggling. Maybe, but again, this is like help the American people. And is this really helping these countries? Is this for more war bullshit? Is it for more bullshit? And that's why, I mean, I've been super critical of Trump for the last 4 years. Absolutely. But when he says shit like that, it's like when he says, oh, I'm going to leave the soldiers in Syria to guard the oil. Like he just says it. People are like, oh, don't say that. What this is really about. This is why the mainstream media didn't uncover all of those awful things in the bill. We had to go dig through it. Because when I read the Washington Post yesterday, they're like, this stimulus bill is great. Well, how does that work? I've showed you this before, and I will show it to you again. This is the propaganda multiplier. So it comes from the State Department. So all those countries that are getting funded, right? This is to help war, as I've showed you here. And this is what they do. They feed the news to all these 3 sources, and then everybody gets it. Fox, CNN, BuzzFeed, USA Today. So it looked Washington Post. So it looks like it's coming from all these different sources. And then it's fed to the masses. And I would include social media in there and Hollywood. So Trump outlefts him with the $2,000 thing and also uses it as a distraction from all the awful people he pardoned. So this is our crazy empire and this awful duopoly, these 2 horrible parties. Both parties don't give a shit about you. That's why they're giving you $600 and they're giving countries and defense contractors and all this awful shit away. They're not giving that money. $900 billion should all go to the American people. It should go to small businesses. It should go to PPE and stuff like that for healthcare workers and frontline workers, and direct payments to the American people. Rent relief and cash, just fucking cash. Instead of cutting it up, just give every American $5,000. Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know what the math is, but there's 300 million people in America, $900 billion. Wouldn't that equate to $3,000 per American? Should we just do that? I mean, that's better than giving money to all this other nonsense. Anyway. So he calls people out and he's distracting from letting war criminals off. It just never ends, the bullshit in this country for both these awful corrupt parties. It just never ends. It never ends. But you're getting $600, guys. So go buy 600 lottery tickets or $600 in Bitcoin. Shave your knuckles for justice. Ba-boom. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.